Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It's your guy, Boulanger. And in this video, what I'm going to be dealing with is why the Baltimore Ravens made a mistake using the non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson. And just so you know, this is not because Lamar Jackson requested a trade. This is not because um, they haven't been able to sign him. This is simply because of the situation the Baltimore Ravens find themselves in. It's easy to come to a press conference or some type of public gathering and make some declarations about what you're doing, what you're thinking, and what you're planning. Absolutely 100%. That's what you're supposed to do. You're always supposed to present your game face, right? But I believe that if we could really hear the conversations behind the scenes, I believe those conversations are really Baltimore Ravens leadership walking in every day, scratching their head, wondering what are they going to do. Well, Leon Boulanger, why would you say that? Well, here's why I would say that. Okay. At this point in time, we're literally 3 weeks away from draft night. Okay. The Baltimore Ravens have the number 22 pick. Okay. And that's a pick that's going to get them a corner, a wide receiver, an offensive lineman, something like that. It's not going to get them, number one, a premier quarterback in this draft. And that's what they need right now. Now, truth be told, Lamar Jackson is their quarterback because they tagged him and he can't go anywhere unless they trade him, but he has to sign the tag first. And at this point in time, there is no trade. And so, as the current situation is, the Baltimore Ravens do not have a quarterback under contract. That's the situation they find themselves in 3 weeks away from the draft. Okay. And the reason why the non exclusive tag was a mistake is because every other team knows outright what they would have to sacrifice to go get Lamar Jackson. Now, listen to what I'm saying. Every team knows what they would have to sacrifice to go get Lamar Jackson. Circle that. We'll come back to that. Okay. Now, why is that important? You see, in a traditional trade scenario, which is what I've been a proponent of for several weeks to a month now, in a traditional trade scenario, you have an opportunity to go back and forth between organizations in order to work out a deal, right? So let's say I say, okay, I'm interested in Lamar. I give you 3 firsts and a third. And then you say, no, I need 3 firsts and a second. You see, we can lobby back and forth until we come to an agreement, right? And that's what the exclusive tag could have done for this situation. It would not allow Lamar Jackson to be able to go out and get an offer. You see, now, I know you may be thinking, well, he ain't got no offer no way. Well, that's what we've been told, okay? But why would any team, and this is part of my next video, why would any team come get him right now anyway? Okay? So the non-exclusive tag, what it does, it spells out clearly what it would cost to go get Lamar Jackson. There is no debate. There is no bantering back and forth. There is no wheeling and dealing when it comes to attaining or acquiring Lamar Jackson. A team has to simply put an offer out there that the Baltimore Ravens cannot or are not willing to match, and all it's going to cost them is 2 first-round picks. You see, the price is set. You don't get into seconds. You don't get into thirds. You don't get into other inclusive draft picks or even players. Think about this. You don't get any additional draft compensation or even players with the non-exclusive tag. So the price is set for what it would cost to get Lamar Jackson. And so let me be very, very clear. I don't think that there's half the league that could or should be interested in Lamar Jackson, not because he's not valuable, but because their situations do not dictate that they should be interested. Okay. Some teams have franchise quarterbacks. Why would they be interested? Some teams are not ready to win now. Why would they be interested? Right. So to sacrifice 2 first-round picks, and $45 to $50 million per year would be nonsensical only because you would have Lamar Jackson sitting with a high salary for a couple of years before you're ready to win. So only ready to win now rosters who just need a quarterback to get them over the hump should be interested. Okay, let's go one step further. And so now, if I'm secretly or privately interested, this is intra organization. Intra means inside the organization. There are conversations you can best believe going on right now that if the draft falls a certain kind of way and they get certain kind of players, then all we would need is Lamar Jackson to complete the deal, meaning to complete the roster. So you can best believe those conversations are going on right now. Okay, let's go another step. And so now teams can measure out where they're going to be drafting over the next 2 years with Lamar Jackson at their quarterback. And what they're going to begin to come up with is that if I have that guy as my signal caller and we have a ready to win now roster, those draft picks are not as detrimental. Why? Because it's not two first plus others. It's not two first plus players. It's just two first. So now the reason why it's a mistake is because the Baltimore Ravens have locked themselves into a certain type of compensation. And so when you take a look at what Denver got in a traditional trade sense for Russell Wilson, or what they had to give up to get Russell Wilson, they had to give up 2 firsts and some seconds and some other included picks. When you look at what the Carolina Panthers had to give up to go get the #1 pick to get a quarterback, they had to exchange this year's first round. They had to give up a second round. They had to give up next year's first round and next year's second round, right? So they had to give up, basically 2 firsts, but in other included picks. The Baltimore Ravens do not have that luxury with the non-exclusive tag. And so now they sit with an alienated franchise quarterback, a tenured quarterback who has not signed, which essentially means they don't have a quarterback. They're 3 weeks away from the draft, and if things don't pan out, now they may have to switch out from drafting a cornerback in the first round to going and getting a quarterback in the first round. And let me add one more caveat to this. Tyler Huntley just made himself some more money if the draft comes and he hasn't signed that tender. Well, why would I say that? Because if Lamar Jackson hasn't signed, okay, Baltimore doesn't have a quarterback yet. Of course, we've seen the Teddy Bridgewater, rumors. Tyler Huntley can say, no, I need a 2-year deal worth 15, $20 million. You see, because his value to the Ravens will go up because they don't have nobody. So if I'm Huntley, I'm trying to get me some more bread too, because my value is escalating every day we get closer to the draft. And so do you think that the Ravens would draft a first-round quarterback and then sign Teddy Bridgewater and then move on from Huntley? See, because somebody will sign Huntley as a backup for sure. So why wouldn't the Ravens just keep him? They know him. They know his game. And so if I'm Huntley, I'm holding out too. And so the non-exclusive tag caps them in compensation they could receive. Now, I know a lot of you have come back at me and said, hey, the Baltimore Ravens don't deserve to get anything for Lamar Jackson because he's literally a free agent. And and I understand exactly what you guys are saying, but literally he's a free agent. Or excuse me, situationally, he's a free agent. But literally he's not. And so what it comes down to is this. If somebody literally comes to get Lamar Jackson Let's not even use the Colts. I have a Colts scenario coming up in a video later on this weekend. But mm, let's say the Minnesota Vikings comes to get Lamar Jackson. And let's say they put a deal out there that the Ravens don't want to match. The Minnesota Vikings have a nice running back in Dalvin Cook. They have a stud at wide receiver in Justin Jefferson, and they have a decent offensive line. And they have an improving defense. Lamar would put them at the top of that NFC North and put them in playoff contention and maybe even contender contention as far as championship contention. What would those picks turn into? They'd be less valuable. And there's not a thing the Ravens would be able to do about it other than say, no, he's too valuable to us to let go for some bottom of the first round draft picks. So that's my take, man. You guys let me know what you want me to know. All right. Please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can keep getting content as we upload new videos. I'm your guy, Boulanger. This is the GM, and I'm out.